Hey everyone, welcome to the Game Week 14 preview video. First of all, we're going to do something that I haven't really been doing sometimes to talk about the transfers and what I'm thinking, but it was stressed to me by someone in the comments to go over maybe a top 5 every preview video of who I'd bring in, and I'm going to try to make that not just talk about my team, but in general, if I had a blank slate, what are 5 players that I probably want to have in my team? So I thank you, Ellie, who commented in the last video. I appreciate that. I'm going to try to take these suggestions and implement them in the videos. Please like and subscribe if you're liking the video so far, and we'll get right into it. Now, I haven't made my transfer yet. If you watched my last video, I'm waiting for the Champions League games. I'm shooting this on Tuesday, so it's still pretty early. But I have a lot of time right now, so I want to get things done and talk about some things like what ifs. Because I do have several different avenues I can go to, even if things do happen over Champions League where players get injured or whatever happens. All right. But for now, this is how the team's looking. Providel in net, Zoe backing up in case it doesn't play. Against Bologna, there is definitely a chance for a clean sheet there. Am I expecting it? Absolutely. I never expect a clean sheet for Spezia, but I hope for saves, the odd clean sheet, and maybe a lucky penalty save. By the looks of it, last game, Providel stopped penalty, got it called back, and then redone. So there is capability there of getting stops. With Roma going up against Torino, I'm hoping for another double clean sheet for the Roma defense with Imbedez and Karsdorp there. Did great last week, picking up 7 and 8 points between the two. Or added together, so 15 points from this defense last week, hoping for another haul like that, if not more. I still need to look into the Yoshida situation. Didn't play last game due to this flagged injury. Hoping that he's back, because I would definitely like to have Yoshida start against Verona. If not, I will have Mario Rui to back him up facing Lazio. Not the greatest fixture, which is why I'd rather Yoshida, but if he's there, that's not the worst option either. We're going to see Barella return to the lineup against Venezia, hoping that he finds that early season form that he had again, and along this good run of fixtures that Inter has. And then I'll have Insigne, who I'm really just never going to bench, sitting there, and Kendreva, who played really well as captain for me last week. Rounding out the midfield currently, I have Pellegrini, and he's going to take my vice captain against Torino. I do have some hard fixtures in the squad this week. That vice captaincy might change, to be truly honest, based on who I bring in this week. Then in the forwards, have, as of right now, Captain Lautaro Martinez against Venezia. I feel like he can bag some goals this week. I'm going to have to keep an eye on, again, the injury situation, or any potential injury situations in Champions League. What the rotation might look like. It looks like the flag came off of Dzeko, so Dzeko might be back, so in case there's any rotation around there. We have Leao against Sassuolo. It's been a little cold lately. I hope he starts scoring or getting some assists again soon, but for his price tag, he's been fine. And I think my obvious sub out this week is going to be Osimhen. Their good fixture run for why I had Napoli players for so long has ended. They do have some good fixtures, but upcoming are Lazio, Sassuolo, Atalanta, Empoli, which is then easier. Then you got AC Milan, Juventus not too long after that. So I'd say it's a pretty hard run of fixtures coming up for Napoli players. I will be looking to definitely get rid of Osimhen and maybe Insigne and Mario Rui in the not too distant future as well. But yeah, so Osimhen seems like the easy sub out this week, because I'd rather roll the dice more on Yoshida than Osimhen, because I know he's out right now. Despite a huge performance last week, I will be sitting Pasalic for this week against Juve. Just unlikely, I think, that he'll be getting many attacking returns. I don't see another 19-point week coming up. I'll be upset if he gets a goal or an assist, not only because it's against Juve, obviously, but because it's I will have benched him. And Cambiasso, I haven't really been using lately like I was before, and not really regretting it. Just a cheap defender sitting there on the bench, collecting dust, which is fine. Haven't really needed it. but I will be hoping that this team and whatever transfer I make here will continue to move me up the ranks. Currently in the top 500, sitting at 485, I believe, and looking to keep closing that gap. All right, so let's go to the home page first, see what people have been thinking about doing. Single Barak and Semiomi been being brought in. Verona's been putting up a lot of goals, so that kind of makes sense. We got Zappacosta and Zapata in there as well after Atalanta's 5-goal performance. I'm sure that's what has impacted that decision. A lot of people getting rid of Barella. I still think that's a mistake. I know he hasn't been putting the ball in the back of the net or getting assists as of lately, but why would you transfer out an Inter player, especially, again, here's Dzeko coming back from injury probably, when they have such a good fixture? And I think that is a mistake. Immobile makes sense with the injuries that have surrounded him. And I think these were, people got high on these players off of 1 or 2 good performances and maybe are dropping them off now. Some players here that I would be looking at, but I'm going to officially go over, but I really got my eye on Vlahovic and Bonucci, and I'll explain why when I go over my top 5. Going to transfers. Okay, so here is the reason that I have these 3 highlighted right now: Fiorentina, Inter, and Juventus. I have my little Serie fixture difficulty rating pulled up. I don't think you can see it when I'm on the videos. That's fine, but I'll be explaining. But basically, I'm going to go through these 3 teams' upcoming fixtures. For Fiorentina, we have Empoli, Sampdoria, Bologna, Salernitana, Sassuolo, a little more difficult, Verona, then Udinese, Torino, Genoa, Cagliari. That brings us all the way to game week 23 without facing what would probably be considered one of the top 6 sides. Because then they got Lazio and Spezia after that, and then you hit Atalanta. So you're starting to get into the tougher teams once you get to game week 24. Up until then, you have dream fixtures for Vlahovic, and he's already done well against the top teams as well. So he's, I think, I don't know, is he the top rated striker right now? He's probably got the most points. I don't think I can stay off him anymore. He is likely my transfer in this week. Okay, that would probably be my number 1 suggestion for a transfer in this week. Gonna look towards Inter Milan next. We have Venezia and Spezia coming up, then Roma, tougher game in Roma. After that, you have Cagliari, Salernitana, Torino, Bologna, and then you do have some difficult fixtures after that. That brings you to game week 20. Again, a solid 6 or 7 game weeks so you can bring someone in that you don't really need to worry about transferring them out. That's why my number 2 choice probably would be Lautaro Martinez. Now I'm trying to say it as if I didn't already have him, so I know I already have him. And this is fixture swing is one of the reasons why I have him, but my number 2 pick probably this week would be at Lautaro Martinez. Now, the only situation that would be is I need to see how Dzeko starts fitting back into the squad again. And if they start rotating time, that might be a little, that might cause a little bit of issues. And I do realize that Dzeko is also almost 2 million cheaper than Lautaro Martinez. So there's definitely an argument for him. But lately, Lautaro, he seems to be getting returns most weeks. And against these teams coming up, I don't see that stopping. So if you go for Dzeko, I don't think there's any issue with that. But I have Lautaro, and I'm sticking with him right now. So I'd say at least one of the 2 would be my second pick. My third pick is... and that is for Inter. Those are the Inter players I'm thinking of, and those are the Fiorentina player I'm thinking of. Lastly, looking at Juventus, they have Atalanta coming up this week, hard fixture. But after that, you have Salernitana, Genoa, Venezia, Bologna, and Cagliari. And then you do have hard fixtures after that. That brings you to game week 19. These are 3 teams that you can get players from and not really have to worry about transferring their players out for at least 6 game weeks, which is a solid amount of time to have quality or fixtures that are ideal for a team to be facing. Okay, that's what my third pick would be, Morata. And I know these are 3 strikers, and I'm not just saying that because I'm looking at transferring in a striker, but I do just think that these are standout players right now. And for Morata, it's just, he's really the only striker on Juventus that there's like, yes, there's Moise Kean. Sometimes he gets time. But as far as someone that I can see getting attacking returns, it's him in the forward positions. I'll get to others in a second. So I do think my 4 and 5 would also be Juve players, and I promise that's not just Juve bias talking. But the reason that I have Morata behind Lautaro and Vlahovic is they've been throwing midfield players up into the attack that have been getting better returns than the strikers themselves. So I know Dybala is injured right now, which is why I wouldn't consider him. And he's a midfielder anyway, so but yeah, Morata, he's the main guy up top right now. Goals should be going through him in some sort of fashion. That's why I have him at 3. At number 4, I am going, it's really a toss-up between 4 and 5, and it's going to be Bonucci and Chiesa as my other 2 picks. Obviously, same set of fixtures, but if we're looking, I'm going to go to the defenders here. Bonucci last week scored, was it 2 penalties last week? I'm just going to double check that. He goals last week. I don't know if it'll show me specifically last week. I'm pretty sure he scored 2 penalties. I have to check that. But right now, he's picked on penalties above any other forward or midfielder on the field. Like that's, I'm sorry, it's not that I've never, I guess, but defenders are not normally like that. Defenders get the most points per goal. And if he's the guy that they're choosing to take penalties right now, then that is going to be huge to not only have him for clean sheets in this easier run of fixtures, but to have him for goals there as well, I think is huge. Now, not everyone has the money to make a transfer like that to a more premium defender. Some people, and based on how you've done transfers and who you've picked up and whether your price has risen or dropped, not everyone can afford the same players based on their team's value. But I think Bonucci is definitely someone to be looking for. I might even consider doing a double switch this week and taking the 4-point hit, getting rid of Oshima and bringing in Vlahovic, and maybe even getting rid of like Yoshida and bringing in Bonucci. I think I would have the money for that. Let's just see what would happen right here. If I take out that, then bring in, where'd Vlahovic go? If I bring in Bonucci, and then Vlahovic. And that brings me dead even. Okay, so that's something, well, I'm really going to have to look out for because Bonucci's price is sure to rise. So maybe if I'm going to do this, I might need to pull trigger on this a little sooner than I think. And that would be a 4-point hit, which is not a decision I want to make on a whim. So maybe I might end up having to transfer to someone else. We'll see about that. But wow, that would look really good right now, especially with Bonucci on penalties. And we know that Juve can draw a lot of penalties sometimes. So if Bonucci is just constantly taking kicks from the spot and putting them in, it's really hard to turn down this offer right now with a -4. The last person I'm thinking of is Chiesa, because he's playing up top kind of with Morata right now, except he's going to get the extra point for the goal and has the clean sheet point. And we know that he is all the way back from Italy, that he is a good attacker. Those are my top 5, though. Going over again, Vlahovic, Lautaro or Dzeko, Morata, Bonucci, Chiesa. Those are my top 5. So I hope you like that little new segment that I'll try to add into every preview video. Thanks again, Ellie, for suggesting that. I'm going to leave this video here with this decision to decide on. Please let me know in the comments if you think this is worth it. What would you do? Who did I leave out that should be considered? And do you think I overrated any of these guys? If I have to say I overrated someone, I'm probably going to pick Morata out of all of them. But other than that, I think that these are players that you should be looking at. Anyway, take care. Hope you liked the video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you after this game week ends.